college? What is its purpose? What does a typical college experience look like, and how do college experiences differ among universities? 21 students from universities across the state of Oklahoma attempted to tackle these questions regarding the culture of college, instructed by Dr. Susan Blum, a cultural linguistic, psychological, and educational anthropologist at the University of Notre Dame. This 5-day course and research study provided possible answers to the aforementioned questions. This experience was made possible by the Oklahoma Scholar Leadership Enrichment Program. This group of students represent a diverse set of colleges ranging in enrollment size, programs offered, ethnic groups, student life, as well as other characteristics that bring a unique set of experiences to the table. The universities represented include the University of Oklahoma, Oklahoma State University, Langston University, Oklahoma Baptist University, and the Southern Nazarene University. In order to objectively investigate the culture of college, the students studied applied principles of ethnography to their research and experimentation. Hammersley and Atkinson define ethnography as the involvement of an ethnographer, overtly or covertly, in people's daily lives for an extended period, watching what happens, listening to what is said, and/or asking questions. The students were able to put what they learned about ethnography into practice through campus mapping, observations of the physical and social environment, and interviews with students on a typical day of classes on OU's campus. The findings of the ethnographic research were compiled and discussed, and our conclusion regarding the culture of college are described by members of our group.
What is college for? I believe that most of us will agree that college is a place where we go to learn, to continue our studies, to get our diplomas, and have a successful career. According to Ellen Lageman and Harry Lewis, first-generation students typically see higher education as a way to find better paying jobs. Rebecca Nathan describes in her book, My Freshman Year, that college is not all about getting knowledge. The biggest attraction of college is actually the culture of college. In a survey Nathan did for her research study, one of the students described college as an experience one can't miss.
Why do people come to college in the first place? A lot of people say that their main reason for coming to college is to get a good job. And a good job could be defined as something that's well-paying or something that they couldn't get without a degree, but that they have a passion for, such as teaching. And they feel as if college is just that next big life stage before entrance into the workforce, just kind of that preparation for them. A lot of people say the reason that they come to college is to grow personally. And that's a very popular secondary reason, and perhaps it's to escape a personal family situation or a childhood situation, or sometimes it's just to establish your own identity or your own reputation, and just to establish your independence. And it's just to better themselves as people. And quite a few people, although they won't admit it as easily, come to college to have fun. And they see college as that place where they can get their last little bit of crazies in before they have to be responsible adults.
College students define themselves very individualistically, if that makes sense. In today's society, we're very individual people, and that's how we kind of see ourselves.
Students were mixed as to whether they felt like they were an adult or not, and this seemed to depend, at least partially, on how much their parents were supporting them. Students whose parents were paying for more of their college experience, maybe their living experience, or students who depended on their parents more, felt that they weren't quite an adult, whereas students who were paying their own way and working for themselves felt like they were adults. This seems to suggest that for the majority of college students, since they are living at least partially on their parents' money, or have to depend on getting their parents' tax information for federal aid, would feel that they are not quite adults, even though they take responsibility and do many things that adults do.
Everyone's major tends to define them in some sort of way, which should make sense because hopefully people are choosing majors based off an interest they have, like someone who wants to help people may become a doctor, and that would help define who they are.
During the mini field research that we did in teams, my partner and I interviewed a freshman that said that she felt uncomfortable talking about her major, which is something that I had never really personally felt, but could understand how it could affect how students see themselves. Students often stereotype against other students in different majors, and even in their own major, and this can lead to students developing feelings of inferiority and even pressure to change majors due to insecurities that the student may feel about not fitting into the stereotyped mold of their major.
College is a bubble in the sense that a bunch of people all around the same age are placed in a certain area or location with a common goal. This is going to create an atmosphere different from that of the rest of the world. In the book, How College Works by Daniel Chambliss and Christopher Takix, they describe college as an emotionally bonded community and describe how these groups come to exist. There are 4 crucial conditions. The first being a geographical concentration of human bodies. The next is a shared focus of attention. Also, there are ritualized common activities that revolve around the shared focus of attention. For example, college activities have forms and patterns that almost everyone knows and follows to some extent. Lastly, there is exclusivity, which limits the group by more or less defined boundaries. This is seen in the admissions process. Also, selective prestigious colleges are more exclusive, which may create solidarity among the college. All 4 of these conditions are present in college.
We defined college bubble as this effect that universities, especially big universities, can have on people, where they feel like once they're on campus, it's hard to get off campus, or they may feel trapped with all the activities, eating, socializing, homework, and for many freshmen living on campus. So when we asked people in the Oklahoma Memorial Union if they felt that there was a college bubble, a lot of people who lived off campus felt that there was, because they specifically commute to campus. So they felt the impact of that college bubble because they know the difference between being on campus and off campus, versus some freshmen that we interviewed felt that there wasn't as much of a college bubble because that was all they knew. They didn't get off campus very much if they were living in the dormitories with friends and on campus all the time.
So what college feels like depends on an individual's own experience in college. For those who are involved in lots of campus activities, or that may participate in Greek life or live on campus, college may feel like a community or a home away from home. But for part-time students or commuter students, or sometimes even first-generation students, college may feel like a necessary next step in their life, or more like a job.
We also had this discussion as far as remaining in the college bubble or leaving that. I was surprised to see how many students at larger universities felt like they remained in the college bubble. My university is located in a rural area, so a lot of times we discuss if things were closer to us, we'd probably leave our campus more. But I guess when you go to a bigger university, you tend to have everything you need there as well. Like, I noticed they tend to have more places to eat on their campus. So even though we are saying, and when I say we, I mean students at my university, even though it's said that we would leave campus, I think if we attended a larger university and had more, we would probably still remain in the college bubble as well. And when we talk about the college bubble, it's pretty much everything as far as like where you're going to get food. Do you leave to work out? Do you do most of your errands and activities on campus or within like the campus range, or do you like leave the city?
And between school, extracurriculars, including leadership positions, jobs to pay for school, and basic health practices such as showering and eating and sleeping and exercise, there's almost no time to have fun or like hang out with friends, relax, or even like breathe.
I do know that there are certain things that campuses are exposed to that would lead certain students to not feel at home on certain campuses. It has to do with like just the overall environment, the type of college that it is, I guess, that would have a big deal to do with it.
How important is it to feel that you belong in college? I would say that it's very important, not even just in college, but just period. Like, you grow up in high school, always wanted to have this sense of, oh, I'm needed or I belong or, people want me. Although college, it is more expected for you to be an individual, it's still like that pressure on your back to want to belong.
We have researched and discussed that a student's race or ethnicity plays a role in their sense of identity and belonging to a community. Minorities tend to join clubs that are geared for different minority groups, even if it is not the same ethnicity as the individual. For example, we interviewed an African American woman who had joined a black fraternity and a Vietnamese association because she felt welcome to both groups as a minority. It is not as common for a Caucasian student to join one of these groups. Based on the groups we interviewed, students of minority races were involved with clubs that brought them together with other minorities, while Caucasian students tend to join groups based off their interest. 2 Caucasian males we interviewed had both been involved in a band fraternity, and one of them was in a student leadership organization.
A little bit of both. We were able to conduct some interviews after getting IRB approval at Oklahoma University. So through the interviews that my group conducted, we did see that there was kind of an equal amount of students who were involved in clubs having to do with their major and who were involved in clubs that were unrelated to their major. I think that there are more reasons that students get involved than just wanting to build their resume and things like that. So I did my best to make a model that would encompass all of these reasons. So basically up here we have professionalism. This would be like building your resume, being involved in things having to do with your major, things like that. Socialization and friends, this would be like joining a club because your friends are there, or joining a club to meet people who like similar things as you and things like that, basically just socializing in general. And then we have hobbies and interests. So these would be people who join something like Quidditch Club. Quidditch Club is really fantastic to meet people who, might be interested in the same things that you are, but it's definitely not related to anyone's major, at least I think.
People will actually join different organizations because of their heritage, their background. So we actually ran into a group of people out there who, I believe they were Vietnamese, but they all were kind of in a group with people who were also Asian. And it's like, oh, your heritage does have an effect on the organizations you may be a part of. And I think the biggest thing about that is just wanting to belong, wanting to feel like you're a part of something where people are like you.
In observing students around the campus, we noticed that most students walked around campus with earphones in and in small groups of 2 or 3 or by themselves, which suggests that college students don't group together and form communities, at least when they're walking places. This trend continued in the cafeteria, where students mostly sat either by themselves or in small groups of 2 or 3 people, and in libraries, where students would study by themselves or with a few people and with headphones in. However, the campus is made to where there are long tables and plenty of spaces for students to sit together and form communities. Also, the fact that most of the students we interviewed, those who lived off campus, seemed to have less community on campus because they stated that they had less close friends on campus than students who actually lived on campus. So this suggests that there is opportunity for community in college, but most students don't take advantage of it.
From our experience in this course, we came to find that college involves much more than images of parties and drinking, studying, and living out a typical college experience. In fact, we learned that college students have entirely different experiences stemming from their diverse backgrounds, identities, and universities attended. Our team found a few recurring questions that seem to define what directions our conclusions were heading. What does college feel like, and how do students spend their time? Throughout our research and observations, we began to identify underlying themes beneath the acquired information that revealed more about what the culture of college is really like. We found that home, a sense of belonging and comfort, are important to college students and help with adjusting to college life. Students tend to associate with people of similar identities, including gender, race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation. Students also find identity and community in their involvement around campus, such as in their academics and extracurricular activities. Self-presentation seems to be a factor in evaluating self-worth. Responsibilities and independence, in addition to time management, seem to help with maturation and establishing a sense of individualism. College continues to be a unique aspect of American culture. Studies aiming to understand exactly what creates this atmosphere and how students function inside will ultimately lead to a better starting point for improvement and awareness.